Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to ShootOut. There was a mysterious disappearance of a file. We recorded Premier League predictions for you lot, and this was supposed to be the second video of the week, but a load of files disappeared off my MacBook. And I actually didn't do too bad in my predictions, I think, but like, you guys will never know about it. So Eunice is still smashing me in the predictions, and same old story, Chelsea is still getting smashed up at Anfield. It was a shocker, Eunice, wasn't it? Tell me how you're feeling a few hours after this awful performance, awful result. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, where can I start? Bloody hell. It's a few hours. I'm still feeling basically the same. And it's a big reality check, I think, for the true situation. It's as simple as that. I know that it seemed like results were looking like they were on the up. For me personally, I took into consideration who the opposition was, and as good as it looked, right? When you come up against top teams and you expect something, you don't get anything. It's a reality check for where you truly are. And I think yesterday was it's mad because Liverpool didn't really even come out of second gear as far as I'm concerned. They didn't look like they were killers. They looked like they had everything on a plate for them and they just got the knife and fork and just started eating away. And I understand. I think there were a couple of things that went against Chelsea. I'm not using that as an excuse though, because I think even if they did go in our favour, we still would have got well and truly battered with the way that we went on about our business throughout the entirety of the game. It could have been double digits if it wasn't for the fact that the woodwork got hit a million times, and Petrovic, fair play, the only one that I think can truly leave with his head held high, saved us on as many occasions as he did. It could have been double digits. So, horrible.
That's the thing I don't understand, right? I do understand like the premise of if Gallagher's foul that isn't given as a foul from Van Dijk is a Chelsea penalty. Let's say Cole Palmer puts it in the back of the net, 1-0 Chelsea within 5 minutes at Anfield. Yes, that could, as a result of the endless probabilities of reality, that could have made the match completely different. But to actually believe that when you look at the golfing class between those two sides, and like you say, like if Darwin Núñez wasn't allergic to nets and didn't fancy posts so much, like the reality of the situation is if it finished 8-1 yesterday, nobody could have looked and been like, oh god, well Liverpool have been inflating it. I don't know what the XG was. I don't care about XG. It's a load of nonsense to me. But like, I just think there's a lot of people saying and using the penalties or the lack of penalties therefore as an excuse. And I'm with you. I'm not allowing that to be an excuse. The gulf in quality between Chelsea and Liverpool, tactically, the setup, like even Jurgen Klopp, I think, between now and the end of this season, is probably going to give, like, I think in terms of like the way I see him giving back to the Premier League before he leaves, I think he's just going to give so many different nuggets. And I think the main nugget that you could see last night is how happy he was after that game, because he gives so much respect to Chelsea with the way that he talks about us. And like, I think he sees something that I don't. I think he sees us as a significantly better team than we actually are. And last night just showed me like we are years and years away from being at the top because we're not going to be able to get the right personnel to bridge that gap. We're not.
It's absolutely incredible, and I saw a stat. Well, I'm with you on this. I'm not all about stats. I saw the league table this time last season after 22 games, and this time this season after 22 games, and we are identical. Identical on points, identical on goal difference, identical on position, the same. So we've scored more and conceded more, but we've have the same points, same goal difference, same position, and we've spent $1 billion. This is what's crazy, as you've said. Yeah, we aren't going to spend this window, and it's deadline day. So, look, we were talking a bit before we came on, and for me, it's Thursday, and I think it's the same for you, George. It's the same for everyone. It's Thursday today. It's not deadline day. So,
yeah,
when you look at how much has actually been been spent. And this is the output. This is the result. We've not moved an inch in terms of any progress whatsoever. It's actually pretty incredible when you put it into that context. And when you look at the golfing class, like you mentioned, it's funny because yesterday Liverpool had a midfield that was fairly new, you could say, playing together. Klopp managed to put both Trent and Robertson on the bench and stick on Bradley at right back, who had a great game. When you're looking at the academy boy, Clark, who came on with 10 minutes to go, you see everything that Klopp has done and the way that Liverpool are doing it is correct. You know? You have a bunch of players that you're looking to integrate and you have a system for them. You bring on some experience afterwards to protect the result. And you bring on an academy boy to give him 10 minutes of exposure towards the end when you've already got the game set and done. With us, it's all the complete opposite. We want to try and build a team of youngsters and hope it's all going to click. We don't bring on academy boys to have 10 minutes or 15 minutes for experience. We want to stick them into the starting 11 and hope it's just going to turn into world beaters. And we haven't got a system. So it's incredible, and it shows you where the levels are right now.
But and I think this is the key point that we got to make here. Instead of just like erratically saying Pochettino out, Pochettino sacked. Like, look, I don't think he's the right man. I know you don't think he's the right man. I do think he shouldn't be the Chelsea manager at this point. I've seen enough, even though I've been positive in the build up to this game. But before that, I'd seen enough already anyway. But the problem is, right? Like, devil's advocate will say Chelsea will need time anyway because, well, we've bought those players now. You can't change that. You can't change the past. We've got what we've got. They are very young. Some of them are absolutely woeful, and we've spent so much money on shit. But, like, how can we be happy with progress when we, like you say, have made zero? So the reason I think Chelsea fans, us included, are just so pissed off, and why it's so like, yeah, when we win we're happy, and then when we lose the world's going to end and we want the Pochettino gone, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, because like even when we're winning, we're not seeing dramatic progress. Joe Cole, before the game, I was watching on TNT Sports. Joe Cole was adamant that he was sure Chelsea were going to get something last night. And even he, at the end of the game, when he's talking with Rio Ferdinand, he looks as though he's like, oh, I tried to do it for the Chelsea fans at home, and I've realised I've screwed this up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take a genius anymore to just see. Like, we're just not very good, are we? Like,
no, and you're completely right. And this is where you worry about, like, where are things heading? This is why, personally, I always try to add some sort of urgency to the situation. We can't go on like this, unless we just become a fully fledged mid-table team and that's it. You know, and if that's going to be it, then game over. Do you know what I mean? But that's where we're heading.
What is the goal, though? Like, is the goal to have something? Like, because when Klopp came in at Liverpool were 10th, and then they've obviously stabilised to a point where, like, Chelsea have had. I saw some brilliant tweets in the last weeks or so where you can see Liverpool's trophy cabinet since Klopp came in, and Chelsea's, and you could argue that Chelsea's is even better since Jurgen Klopp took over at Liverpool. But the fact of the matter is, Jurgen Klopp now can leave Liverpool, and the foundations are there to probably give Liverpool the best chance to not have this like crazy fallout in a negative way, the way that United fell after Sir Alex Ferguson. I think Klopp has created something at Liverpool, which means that a Xabi Alonso can literally walk in and maybe not have the same immediate success, but like the fall won't be so bad. With Chelsea, we're experiencing these falls immediately after we win something, which to me suggests that we've been winning things in the last like 8, 9, 10 maybe years that are just maybe flukes to an extent when you look at how far behind we actually are. Having been through so many top managers, the problem I have is that I don't think Pochettino is the right fit of a manager for the players that we actually have. And that's me saying that I don't think Pochettino's style, A, he's not willing to adapt. We've always known that. But B, like, we're talking about Pochettino not being right with the style that he wants to play with players that have no idea about what the footballing style that they are is. But yet, we're here in January, and for whatever reason, we can't buy any experienced players who already have identity as footballers to come in and try and rescue and save the ship. Like, does anybody at this point at Chelsea know what they're doing, in your opinion?
This is the problem. And I honestly think right now, no. And when you compare with Liverpool and you see where Liverpool were, or even Arsenal, right? It was never this bad for them. But when they were in the situation, you could see that it was going upwards. You could see that there was work being done and it was being done correctly, right? They were heading to a certain direction. With us, there's no direction. And it's pretty common knowledge right now that we are just accepting mediocrity and just staying there for the sake of, as far as I'm concerned, my opinion, I think for the sake of balancing books and for the sake of finances. That's the main priority at the football club right now. Whereas when you look at Liverpool or you look at other clubs that have been in a place where it's deemed a little bit down and then they end up heading back up, it's because they got a direction. Right now, when you look at Chelsea and the way that we conduct our business, what we've done, when you look prior and you talk about before and we were winning trophies, we'd have blips, but we'd still be in the mix. At the end of the day, there can only be one winner. But if you're constantly in that top four race, if you're constantly in contention for those trophies and you don't end up winning it, that can happen. But when you're there in the mix like Liverpool have been for all these years, then can you really ask for more? You can try and compete with like Man City and you can try and win as much as you can, and fair enough. But with Chelsea, we're going 2 seasons in a row where we're not even close. And it's heading to a third. And there's not been any club that's been in that situation when you're talking about Liverpool, Arsenal, even United. No one's been as bad as us for these past 2 years. So prior to that, we've been in the mix. We have had moments where we've fallen, like when Lampard was with us and we ended up coming down to 9th. All of a sudden, boom, we get ourselves back into the top 4 race. We're finishing 3rd and we win the Champions League. So we're always there. But now we don't look like we're even heading in that direction. We just look like we're, I don't know, lingering in the wilderness. So when you ask, do we know what we're doing? Right now, I honestly think no. And this is where I don't think it's going to change unless we stop accepting the mediocrity that we have at the club. And that goes to the directors, who I think are mid. And that goes to the manager as well, who I think is mid. And if we address those and bring in people that genuinely know what they're doing, we will find ourselves at least heading back into the right direction. But are those changes going to be made? Right now, I honestly don't think so.
No, I think at this point, like even Pochettino, he's doing last night, even the substitutions. It's like bringing on Gusto and Nkunku. Like it's so risky. It's so risky because he knows that the game is already lost. Because it's like I was talking to some friends of mine on text whilst the first half was going on, and they were kind of excited. They're Arsenal fans, so they wanted Chelsea to get a result for them against Liverpool, and they were like, "Oh yeah, maybe you can do it tonight. Like it's a good lineup, blah blah blah." And I'm like, yeah, I'm optimistic. Obviously, I don't go into a Chelsea game thinking, yeah, we're going to get battered today. Like, let's see. And it's like everybody is like watching us thinking, bloody hell, like they're actually dog poo. Like Liverpool want to play us every week. Liverpool could play Chelsea every single week with VAR decisions in their favour or not, and they'll batter us. Like the 7 draws in a row, like, okay, we just keep falling. Like there's not even like stable bad, if that makes sense, or like stable mediocrity. It's not even that. We're actually genuinely falling. Yeah. Falling. And I think the crazy thing for me, and I want to kind of like, I know this is a very negative video, so it might be difficult for people to stay tuned, but for the final thing I think to discuss is we've spoken so heavily about, we need a striker, we need someone to put the balls in the back of the net and whatever. But, like, who's going to get the ball to them? Because as far as I'm concerned, Cole Palmer I don't even think is a right winger, but, like, he's the best winger at the club. I think Sterling is finished. I think Mudryk isn't a Premier League footballer. And I don't know what Noni Madueke is. I don't know what any of these players are doing at Chelsea. I really don't understand. I really thought that Mudryk was going to get a little spring in his step when he started to play well at the beginning of January. But like you say, we were playing against dead opposition. We're playing against some of the worst teams in the Premier League. And it's like, well...
Or championship teams.
Bloody hell. Yeah, or championship teams. It's like, I just think the whole thing's lost. So the problem is, like, yeah, we need a striker, but like we need someone who can give that striker the ball. But we're therefore going to have to sell half of the team and buy more. It's not going to happen.
This is the thing. We have recruited wrong completely. Not to say that we haven't brought in some decent players. I think like in all the players that we've brought in, I think there are a handful there that you can build on. But not everyone that we've brought in. And the lack of winners and leaders in this team is screaming, man. And it's only with those sort of players are you going to get the best out of the crop that we've brought in to develop and grow. And if that's not going to happen, they're all just going to stagnate. This is why I have an issue with the strategy that we've taken at the club. Just to bring young players and just hope it's going to work in 5 years. That's not how it works. They're all going to stagnate at this rate. Unless if we actually bring in players that are going to set the example and show them how it's done. In the same way that Liverpool have. That, for example, I expect a Clark who came on for Liverpool yesterday for 10 minutes to develop and grow because he's got everything in that team to look up to. When you're looking, or Bradley, for example, when you're looking at players you've mentioned just now, for example, you're completely right, are just not it. And if the people that are counting on just a striker to come in and fix the situation, I think they're going to get a huge reality check. There's more that needs to be done. Yes, a striker will help. Absolutely, we need a strike. We need a top striker, but we also need a top spine, and we haven't got one. We need the entirety of that spine to be completely revamped, and only when that's addressed and we start building around that, then we might get somewhere. If we don't do that, a striker's not going to solve the situation. And Nkunku yesterday coming on, for example, you could see the golf in class. He's a player with quality. And you could see just the quality was shining there. But that's it. That's all we got. Everyone else isn't on that level. That tells you everything you need to know.
Oh, dear. I mean, I think at this point, we're just going to be going around in circles, basically just reiterating and highlighting the mess that is our football club. So, I mean, mate, at this point, I've got nothing more to say on it. Like, we've got, I think, Wolves next in the Premier League. Like, I think
Wolves at home.
The reality is, like, the club have given up on this season. We've not invested anything in January. So, we're basically saying, look, all right, we know where we're at. If Pochettino somehow manages to get us up the table, then maybe he's the guy for next season. I think Poch is doomed. I think he's absolutely doomed, whether that's right or wrong. I don't think he's right. I don't think he's not adaptable. His style isn't working for this team. We can't make enough changes that we would need to be able to make it work. I think it's over. I think it's doomed. And I think the club also thinks so as well, unless there is a miraculous turn of fortunes that would have to be orchestrated from Pochettino and these players. So, yeah, I think that last night showed me exactly where we're at, and it's not where we want to be. That's it. That's me done.
It's exactly that. And the golf in class, like I said, was huge. It could have been double digits. It could have been so much worse. Fair play to Petrovic, of course, for what he'd done. And yeah, I completely agree. I don't think Poch is going to save the situation whatsoever. I think there's, like we've illustrated, it's not just one issue. There's multiple issues at multiple levels at the club, and that's why we're in the mess that we're in. And I feel like if we do at least turn to a manager that is tactically inept, we might be able to get these players clicking in some sort of a way, at least. But like I've said, there's bigger problems and there's bigger issues at the club that need addressing too. So, up until that happens, we're probably just going to be in the same boat. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. The fixture list that we've got coming up isn't easy either. So it's going to be an interesting few games. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Bro, it's like, I feel like someone just punched me in the ribs. You know, talking about us, like, and trying to find any optimism. It's like, no. Just win.
It's exactly that. And I do want to say, because I feel like there is credit that's needed here. Fair play to Liverpool yesterday, because they, funnily enough, like I said, they didn't even come out of second gear. And they absolutely they took advantage of the situation and they done what they had to do. So fair play. They're top of the league and they're top of the league for a reason. And yeah, with us, we'll see what happens. But we've illustrated what we think the issues are. I want to say, let us know in the comments if you're a Chelsea fan or non-Chelsea fan, what you guys think, because it'll be good to get a complete, range of opinions and to see where everyone stands and what they think of Chelsea at the moment. It'll be interesting for the non-Chelsea lot to give us a non-biased analysis of what they think as well. I'm always curious of that. And yeah, we'll see how it all goes moving forward, mate.
Yeah, I've completely just become like a zombie at the end of this video. I'm afraid. It hurts. I don't like it. I really 100%. Don't like it. But let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Genuinely is a bloody sad time to focus and face the reality as a Chelsea fan as to where we are and where we're going. Because who bloody knows? But at least we're going to win at Wembley in the Carabao Cup final, aren't we? Yeah, that's it. Brilliant.